Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight for our GC Sage Conversations with the Candidates. In order for us to be sure we have plenty of time tonight to get to our candidates, we're going to go ahead and get started. As you know, advocacy is a pillar of Sage's mission, and it's especially important for families of gifted and talented students to recognize that school districts in Texas do not receive adequate designated state or any federal funding for gifted and advanced programs. We rely on our school board to support and fund these programs. Therefore, annually, we host a forum of the candidates for GCISD School Board of Trustees, so you can get to know them, hear their views, and engage in a conversation about the issues near and dear to our community. Sage is celebrating our 10th anniversary last year, and our mission and objectives are the same as when we began. We continue to represent the GT parent voice. Unfortunately, as public education continues to be challenged with budget issues, parent involvement in our volunteer-run organization continues to be the key to protecting the future of GT services in our community and across Texas. I hope those of you who are joining us this evening who are not currently members of GC Sage would give us a look at our website and consider joining us. We are currently offering a membership special that anyone who joins between now and the end of this year's school year, you'll receive membership for the rest of this year and also next year for $20. And you can find information about that by going to our website, which is gc-sage.org. So as a 501c3 nonprofit organization, GC Sage does not favor, oppose, or endorse any candidates. We strive to provide information to our community about all candidates who are seeking public office. All trustee candidates for this year's GCISD board elections were invited to participate in tonight's conversation. They were also invited to submit a written or videotaped piece that would provide an overview of their perspective on GT and advanced academics. So I would encourage everyone to head over to our website and check out our voter guide, which contains information on all the local races in our community. This evening, we have two candidates who will be joining us for our conversations. We've used a randomized number sequencer, even though I joked with them that I might as well just flip a coin. I wanted it to be transparent. I was like, randomized number sequencer. But to determine what order they were going to go in, and I guess, I'm not sure if that means Louis won or lost the coin toss, but Louis Sullins is going to be our first candidate, and Dave Stein will go second. So just a couple of quick rules before we get started, and then we'll hand it over to Louis. Each candidate has been given 20 minutes to speak with you. All candidates have been given access to a list of topics of interest to our community, as well as any questions that you submitted via the registration form as of noon on Sunday. The candidate will lead the conversation. They may ask for additional questions or comments from the audience via the chat function. We ask all candidates to refrain from personal attacks. Today's conversation is solely an opportunity to hear our candidates' perspectives on GT and advanced academic issues for the purpose of voter education. The audience has been asked to keep their video on and their audio off. If you want it, some of you've got your video off, that's fine too. Sometimes that helps, honestly, with some of our, just to keep things moving quickly and we don't all kind of, get frozen up. So the audience can use the chat function at the bottom of your screen to ask a topical question. The chat will be seen by everybody. And the candidate will decide which questions from the audience they want to answer verbally. Please know that probably in the 20 minutes, they will not necessarily be able to get to every question. But as I mentioned, we have provided them with all of the questions ahead of time that were submitted, and we will be sure to take a copy of all of the chat questions and share that with them afterwards. And it will be left up to the candidate to decide if they want to write a little something to put out on our voter guide, if they feel like, there was a question that they just weren't able to get to that they still want to provide you with input on. The timekeeper will be giving a 2-minute warning as we near the 20-minute mark. And at that point in time, the candidate will wrap up their remaining thoughts and we will move on to the next candidate that will be joining us. Amy Warren is going to be our timekeeper, Louis, just so you know. And Amy's going to give you a little signal and then let you know when you have 2 minutes to go. So that'll give you kind of it'll go fast. Just so you know, the virtual meeting is being recorded and we will post it on the Sage website and also on our social media channels. And we ask that we all have grace and patience for technology issues. We'll get them resolved as quickly as we can. Hopefully we won't have any, but I'm sure all of you are experiencing outside your window what I'm experiencing here at my house. So fingers crossed that we don't lose electricity or connectivity. But if that happens, we'll try to get everything resolved as quickly as possible. And we'll make sure that each candidate will have access to their full 20 minutes. So I think that's it. If we don't have any questions, we are going to go ahead and turn it over to our first candidate, Louis Sullins. Oh, hang on, Louis. Sorry. Are y'all doing?
There, can you hear me now?
There you go.
Okay.
Now we can hear you. And you start his timer over, would you?
Yeah, no worries. Good evening, and appreciate the opportunity to speak with y'all. I remember speaking with you 3 years ago when I was running for my second term. And, you know, we have come a long ways with our GT and our Aspire program, and both of those programs have come out of necessity and parents within our community asking for those programs. So thank you again for allowing me this opportunity to speak. If y'all got any questions that I don't get to or that you think of afterwards, please reach out to me and ask. I have no problem answering them because it is a large, I don't want to say large, but it is a significant subset of our students that are in Aspire and GT that need to have the information presented in a different way or a more rigorous way within the classroom. Real quick, a little bit about me. I've been on the school board for 6 years. I have 2 daughters in the district. I have a 6th grade at CMS, Colleyville Middle School, and a freshman at Colleyville Heritage High School that's on the soccer team. They both started at Heritage Elementary School, went to Colleyville Middle School, and they'll go back to CHHS. We're the one neighborhood that feeds Heritage Elementary School that goes to Colleyville Middle. Because none of the other schools were built when our neighborhood was built. They were born here, raised here. My wife and I have lived here for just over 20 years. We lived 6 years in Grapevine, and we've been in our current house in Colleyville for 16 years. It'll be this summer. I was born in College Station, God's country, because my dad went there and was a professor and got all 3 degrees from A&M. And I grew up in Irving, just right down the street. And I went back to A&M myself and got my Bachelor of Science in basically ag business, which is leadership and finance within the ag world, to be a commodity trader. And then I switched over to personal finance. So I traded commodities on the Chicago Board of Trade for several years through a company called Archer Daniels Midland. But then I've been in the personal wealth management since 2002. And I opened the Merrill Lynch office in South Lake, right above the Apple store in April of 2006, and still work there today. So that's a little bit about my background. I got involved in school really when my oldest daughter was in kindergarten. And the bottom line was I got involved with a watchdog. And Principal Voigt, I want to go back to her today and say thank you, but I had no idea what you were getting me into, because here we fast forward, watchdog, District Excellence Committee, then Campus Excellence Committee, and then, oh, lo and behold, Lead 2021 I got to sit on and chair one of the groups within it. And then I chaired the 2016 Bond Committee, and then et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And here we are. So enough about me. Please, I don't see any questions popping up yet in the chat. So I'll kind of talk a little bit about just the Aspire and GT program, and one of the big looming questions I think many of y'all may have. As you know, we did a full-time equivalent study on our employees. In our last board meeting, one of the trustees said, hey, we have an extra 183 positions and that we may need to look at cutting. Well, I'm not a proponent of that. Because right now we know that our students need their teachers more than ever. We value our class sizes, and you can't just look at that as a blanket statement and reallocation or not rehire or renew contracts. The reason being is we're coming out of a 2-year COVID situation where students have struggled both academically and social and emotional. And whether we want to debate that or not, the social emotional piece, I'll be more than glad to, because State bill and House bill approved that 319 to 31, which allows that to be imparted TEKS. And with that being said, it also makes sure that we are providing the rigor that our students need in any category. In terms of Aspire and GT, and then also talking about AP exams, one of the big things right now is AP exams. And some of the questions is, hey, is a 2 a relevant score on an AP exam or a 5? And then it talks about the information that is being taught in these classes. With that being said, we have to, I say we, the state mandates that, or it's actually in a bill, House Bill 3, I believe, if I remember correctly, states that curriculum has to be presented in an AP GT Aspire class in a format that has unbiased opinions, presents all sides of the material, and it presents opposing sides of the material, and it has a neutral presentation from that standpoint. If we do not present that information on whatever the topic may be, then the College Board can take away our AP accreditation. And then we lose that from a collegiate standpoint of them applying to college and so forth. And we know, and as y'all know, GT and Aspire students are all about the academics and scholarships and the performance. They're high-level critical thinkers. They think from a science standpoint and from a technology standpoint. And even going back, if you want to break it down from a AP opposes censorship, even from an example of the concept of evolution at the heart of college biology. You still have to present it and talk about it, whether you believe it or not. That's from a personal belief, it still has to be presented. So AP for me is here to stay because it needs to be there, because we've got to give our students the opportunities to take those classes and excel and to compete against those other public or private entities that they're competing against to get in college or career or military readiness. Jumping back to the staffing, we've been, if I remember right, state has given us about $450,000 to $600,000 in spending. The board is spending a lot more than that. The last time I looked, I want to say it was around 2.7 million, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going off of memory from a line item in a budget with many line items. But the point is just like with our dyslexic program, we have put a lot of money towards that. And we're put a lot of money towards the Aspire and GT and AP as well, because 1, it's expensive to train the teachers. 2, testing these students in kindergarten, 1st grade, or if we see GT or Aspire characteristics later on in elementary school, reveal itself, testing at that time to get them into the program and get them into those courses. And so that takes a lot of time and money to do that. And so we need that within the budget. And then on top of that, it also takes a lot of time and resources in terms of sitting down with the parents and the teachers and doing the rigorous interview process to make sure that we are getting these kids the education that they need for a year's worth of growth. And when I say a year's worth of growth, I don't necessarily mean, going for a school year for an entire year. Someone asked me the other day, what does that mean? Well, let's say we have a 3rd grader come in, and that 3rd grader is really at Christmas in 3rd grade, even though it's the first week of school. Well, if you fast forward a year, that child better be at Christmas in 4th grade, even at the end of his 3rd year in school or 3rd grade. Does that make sense? Someone shake heads, shake no, eyebrows go up. I am looking at some of the faces. It's kind of nice that I have some people with their camera on, because I can see your facial expressions like, oh, he's crazy. So going back to it, we need the staffing. We need to keep funding it. No, one of the questions that we got previous was would I cut budget, or would I ensure that we still have funding for it? I would not cut budget, and I'd make sure that we still have funding for it. Now, let me be blunt. We don't know what funding is going to be. Funding's on a 4-year term, and then we have the biennium when they meet and make adjustments. Okay, we're fixing to get some funding from the oil and gas surge and prices that have gone up. It's already been given to the governor. He has not released it to us. They're going to also give us some relief from our WADA weighted average daily attendance versus our average daily attendance. And that's a whole nother discussion, but it's a good thing for us that we should be getting some more money. So with that being said is, yes, we've got to be financial responsible, but at the same time, we have these programs in place. We have our first graduating class from the Aspire, I believe, this year. Is that right? Okay, thank you for shaking. And so we have been on this path since elementary school, and we kept adding a year to it as they aged and kept going up. So why would we cut out a program that our community has come to expect and asked us to have, and actually has demanded us in a positive way, not a negative way to have that? So I support it. We'll continue to support it and fight for it as well. So one of the questions is, oh, I saw don't be shy. And I'm like, oh, wait, you talking to me? No. GT and Aspire students need advanced books. Would you speak to the choice of books in schools? Yes. So in fact, I'm going to look off screen just for a minute because I did print out some different things and I want y'all to write these down. So you can go to GCISD and go into the Google search bar, not the Google search bar, but up at the top, you can search within all of GCISD website. You'll want to look at E as in echo, M as in mother, B as in boy, EMB, local. It is so we have state policy and then we have local policy. And then the other one is, give me just a second. E as in echo, F as in Frank, EF local. So I'm going to read something here, and it says the district shall provide a wide range of instructional resources for students and faculty that present varying levels of difficult, diversity of appeal, and a variety of points of view. The ultimate authority of determining and approving the curriculum and instruction program of the districts lies with the board. And this goes into instructional resources, and it has to enrich and support the curriculum, stimulate growth in a factual knowledge, present various skills in critical analysis and in making informed judgments, and must represent many ethnic, religious, and cultural groups and their contributions to the national heritage and the world community. Provide a wide range of background information. And it goes into the selection criteria, support or consistent the general educational goals of the state and the district. Now, with that being said, that's E and F local, but with that being said, there can be parent concerns or student concerns in what's appropriate material for that child to read. So within that, within the EMB local policy, it states in guiding classroom discussion of controversial issues, teachers shall foster students' critical thinking skills, encourage discussion, but also a student or parent with concerns regarding instruction about controversial issues shall be directed to compliant policy at FNG, which FNG allows the parent to have conversation with the teacher, with the student, with the principal, and determine if the book or the material is appropriate for that student or family's beliefs or so forth. But yet the tough piece comes into to make sure that we're still providing an alternative that that the student can read and meet the rigor, because when they go to take the AP test, that material is going to be covered on it. Now, granted, they don't have to answer, like they can choose from a litany of essays to write on different topics, but it's got to have the rigor, the depth, the viewpoints to hit the criteria on the essay portion of the AP that the AP board will look at and say, yes, they met this criteria. So I think that kind of speaks to it. Someone says, I'm not sure I understand your point about a year's growth. Are you saying that currently we should be seeing a full year's academic growth for each of our children who attend school in the district, regardless of where they started? Yes, every child deserves a year's worth of growth, 100%. And that's why if you go back to lead Portrait of a Graduate and to lead 2021, we talked about personalized learning plans. When we all went to school, we had parent-teacher conferences. Now, for the last several years, well, for the last, I guess now 10 years, we basically had personalized learning plans where when the student goes in or the parent goes in, it's a parent-student-led conference, and the student takes ownership of their own personalized learning plan, which then allows each student to see where they're at, the teacher assess where they're at, and then they can grow accordingly. So that kind of gives some context around the first question about GT and Aspires in the books in our schools, because that is very controversial right now. And I will tell you this, one of the things that I talked about, and people have pushed back on me a little, not pushed back, but said, oh, my timing was interesting. Actually, I talked about it in the first Grapevine Republican forum and said that Follett and Destiny are two of our checkout system and our catalog system for our librarians. It's a national database, and that we use to check out books and catalog them. It actually will work with Skyward and upload it into Skyward. And so one of the things I've talked to Kyle Berger about and Dr. Laney Norman is about how to give parents control of that and allow them to put some parameters around their books. Well, Follett came out today with a letter saying that they were not going to pursue the technology to allow that data to be integrated with Skyward. And so they had a bunch of WebExes and conferences scheduled next week for that. And they just all of a sudden put a letter out yesterday or today on that. Well, actually, that doesn't matter to us. Here's the thing. I actually talked to Kyle Berger and Dr. Laney Norman again. We are always going to move forward in trying to give parent empowerment or parent control in what their children's read. And it goes back to that whole piece about your religious beliefs, your ethnic background, and what your child wants presented to. Like I had a family come up to me at one of my meet and greets, and it's a 6th grade student, and he's gifted and talented, and he's reading 9th grade books. And so the mom was like, hey, how do we control some of this? Even though he's reading at 9th grade level, some of that material is not appropriate for his mind or experiences. And that's not for us to say so much, because we're given this curriculum from the state, but that is from a standpoint also of a parent empowerment and so forth.
4 minutes, Louis.
Okay, got it. The current screening assessment process for GT in elementary can be improved. How would you approach this issue I don't know much about the screening or assessment process. I remember my 2 daughters went through it. We filled out all the paperwork. We went through the assessment. They did not make it into it. That is where I'm going to have to lean on and reach out to our staff and Julie Leslie on that. And then our new person that we just hired, Aubrey, in regards to that, to see if something can be done. I remember, there's I think we've tested like 1,000, almost 1,200 kids. Maybe more than that, but that's usually what we range, is about 1,200 students across the board on that. So how much time do I got left, Amy? 2 minutes? So, okay. For students who are starting well above grade level, as many in this population are, how is this being measured and achieved? That's going to go back to, that's going to go back to parent involvement and teacher assessment and student. I think that's where the parents need to be involved and say, hey, where's our student at? And is he getting the course and the rigor? That same, I actually had another parent at a meet and greet this weekend. They're in AP, and it was AP English, and the student, oh no, I'm sorry, totally misspoke. They were in their 2nd year German. The spouse speaks fluent German and is German, and so the student knows German really well. And it was like, hey, what else does the student in the class 2nd year is more advanced? And so the parent has reached out to the teacher, is working with the teacher to provide a more in-depth or extra credit, I should say, or more rigor, because he has already progressed above what most of the students have because of that situation. So it goes back to where I think the parent needs to be involved and advocate for the student. Thank you, Amy. At the end of the day, look, GCISD is doing well. Can we do better? Yes. Here we are with our first graduating class of Aspire students. So in relative, this is a young program compared to a lot of other things. Does it need improved? Everything needs improved. We need to be smart about it. We need to measure it. We need to assess it. And we need input from the stakeholders. And that's you, Sage. And y'all have been a phenomenal partner with us as GCISD and Julie Leslie and the staff there, and helping work for that. And look, there is a lot of social and emotion and different ways that these students think, and they need to be with their like-minded students, and they have a different humor and so forth around this. And we need help with that. And thank goodness we have a department that understands that. But through SAGE and through our advanced academics platform, thank you, Amy, our advanced academics department, I think that we can do better and improve on what we have. And we need the parents to have input. And that's one of the things that I want more of, is more parent input in a controlled, and when I say controlled, healthy, respectful environment. I'm going to see right here if I can answer this. See each moment you love to be the. I'm trying to read that so fast and I have no clue. I will answer. It looks like Mom would love for there to be, Advanced Academic Booster Club. Yeah. So booster clubs are separate. They are not, I don't want to say they're not supported by the school district, but they're an arm of the school district. And booster clubs can be contained and maintained by anybody. So would love to see one. So thank y'all very much. I appreciate the time and the opportunity to talk to y'all. And if you got any questions or need anything, shoot me an email. You can get my email address. It's louis.sullins@gcisd.net. But I appreciate all you're doing and advocating for your students. Thank y'all and have a good evening.
Awesome. Thank you, Louis. We appreciate it.
Thank
Okay,
you.
y'all, if you'll just bear with us for just a second while we let Louis check out, and we will get Dave in from the waiting room. And just a couple of quick points before we transition over. One, I'm sorry, it's been one of those days. I'm not sure if I said this earlier, so apologize if I'm repeating myself. But if you asked a question of Louis in the chat and you would like to ask it of Dave as well, please kind of either cut and paste it or re-put it back in there so that Dave doesn't have to go all the way back up to the top of the chat, if that makes sense. So I'd appreciate that. And then let's see, can you guys let Dave in? Don't start his timer yet, but let him in so that we know his mic is working. I see him out in the waiting room. And my other request is we have a few folks on here who have logged in with just your first name. And I've probably sent a post to you in the private chat asking if you could change your name. It's real easy to do. You just log in there or go over to the participant list, click on more, and it will let you change your name. If you could give me at least your last initial or last name so I can make a comparison to our registration list, I would really appreciate it. So we have a couple of people that still haven't done that. So, and Dave is coming in. Let's see. Joining. And on screen. Don't be shy with your questions, y'all. All right, let me see. Oh, did it work? I saw him that I had approved it, but let's see what happened. My name isn't popping into the regular list here. There you go. No, there's Ann Stein. Maybe that's Dave. Dave, are you Ann? Okay. This is the joy of technology. You know, some folks asked us why we stuck with virtual when lots of people are doing the forums and chats and things like that back in person. And we are doing in-person meetings, but for us, we had gotten such good feedback the last couple of years from folks feeling like this really gave them an opportunity to know the candidate a little better, to really let them run their 20 minutes and how they chose to use it. And they liked the informal nature of it. And people were so busy in the evenings. There's so many things to go to. So this makes it super easy. You could, I don't see anybody sitting in their car because you probably have your camera off if you are maybe, but I know that's where a lot of folks end up having to do these kind of calls. So, okay, so it looks like we have Dave here and I am going to unmute him and I see your face, Dave. There we go, you're unmuted, awesome.
Can you hear me?
So there we go, I think that's working. Okay, so Dave, do you have your chat up? Do you see the chat at the bottom of the screen?
No, it's not showing up.
Okay, if you should have a bar at the bottom that says it's like your mute button, security, whatever. If you pull your
Hit that more.
yeah, there you go. Hi.
Right.
And if you open the chat box, then you'll see over there. And I'm happy to read them to you too, if you prefer us to do it that way.
Well, I had it all set up to do it on my camera on the computer, but I'm having some technical difficulties here. So
okay.
Close that all
I'm
down.
sure the weather isn't helping. We were joking that we're anticipating losing some folks, so.
Well, if I miss a chat question or something like that, just let me know.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll go ahead. You have three things out. It looks like three messages out there. Oh, no. Somebody telling me, yay for virtual. Awesome. Got a couple people responding to my request for last names. Perfect. Okay, so right now you just have one question out there, but we're going to turn it over to you. Amy Warren is going to be our timekeeper for you. Here's Amy Wave. So she'll let you know that she has started it, and then she's going to give you, like kind of a heads up as you're going along, just to help you manage your time.
Okay, I appreciate that.
I promise.
I'll take my
All
earbud
right.
out since that's not working out.
There you go. All right. You good? You want to get started?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's go.
All right, Amy, go. Go, Dave. It's all yours.
All right. How is everybody doing? I'm glad you're there. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. I can only see one or two of you anyway. But so my name's Dave Stein. I'm running for the Board of Trustees for Place 4. I'm a parent. I'm a veteran. I've been volunteer. I'm dedicated to serving the Colleyville ISD community. I was born in Thailand. I was raised in Pennsylvania by a single mother. When I was 17 years old in 1986, I graduated high school and left for basic training, joining the Army. I went to Fort Knox, Kentucky, and during that 14 years in the Army, I was stationed throughout the United States and Germany, South Korea. I've also done multiple deployments to Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Iraq. Then in 1994, I became a criminal investigator for Army CID. When I began my career in criminal investigations, during that time as an agent, I worked on cases involving drugs, violent crimes, child abuse, child sex abuse investigations while serving on active duty. I started to put myself through college at that time and took classes at night, weekends, over lunch, even a few semesters on campus at full time. I continued my college education after leaving the active Army, finally earning a bachelor's degree in criminology in 2003. After leaving the active Army in 2000, I began my career as a civilian federal criminal investigator and special agent. That's when I began working on white collar crimes involving Army contracts and procurement fraud investigations. I worked cases in Virginia and then moved to San Antonio, Texas, where I met my wife. We started a family, and in 2010, I panicked and put in for a promotion. I became the resident agent in charge of the Army CID's major fraud unit located in Arlington, Texas. I was responsible for supervising agents working cases in the northern half of Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. During my time working in the Army, I was trained as a federal firearms instructor, active shooter threat instructor, child abuse prevention investigator. And then after the 35 years of federal service, I retired on the 1st of January in 2022. I've been married for 13 years to my wife, Ann, who's a first grade teacher in Heritage Elementary School. We've got two daughters, Presley's in 3rd grade at HES, and my daughter, Parker's in 6th grade at Heritage Middle. So we've called Grapevine home for the past 10 years. I've enjoyed being active in the community. I've coached my daughter's soccer teams. I've been an assistant coach for their softball teams. I've volunteered at both HES and HMS on the HMS PTA executive board and was part of the HES Watchdogs program. So I believe my unique training and experiences will be an asset to the GCISD Board of Trustees. And once elected, I will help find common ground between people with differing ideas in our community, and I'll advocate for our students and teachers in our school district. So I'm going to go ahead and I guess since this is my 20 minutes, is there any questions that came up so far? Can't hear you.
You'd think this is the first time I've done this. So sorry, I'll unmute. There's one over there that says, it's from Carolyn. It says, as a CHHS mom, I would love for there to be an advanced academic booster club at Colleyville Heritage High School with teacher awards, etc., like at Grapevine High School. Would you support or assist with this endeavor? I know if CHH students are in Aspire classes at GHS, they have access to the GHS AABC. However, it'd be great to be one at our campus. It'd be great to be at the same campus. Long question.
I've got to spend time learning about all these programs and things like that. Learning what, me personally, Dave, yeah, absolutely. I'd support that. I would want something like that for CHHS students so they wouldn't have to travel to GHS to be a part of something that they could do at our own school. Yeah, absolutely. But I say that not understanding really, whatever the ramifications are. I mean, if that's volunteering to be somebody to support the club, I'm all for it. But also when it comes to resources and everything like that, those are also considerations. So, but
Don't be shy. Nobody else is doing anything over there, Dave. So you feel free to chat while they're waiting for people to type.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I'm gonna try and do a little justice to some of these questions. It's like drinking water out of a fire hydrant. So, what are your thoughts on expanding differentiated time GT students get on their campuses to include more subjects? Well, based on what I've learned so far, I guess GT students at the campus level receive like 1 hour of GT instruction 2 or 3 times a week. In general, I'd be in favor of increasing that if that was something that we could do easily. And again, saying that, not understanding what the financial ramifications for that might be, but for sure, if more GT instruction is better than less, I'd imagine. Let's see. Is there another question? I saw something flash up.
I think Rachel was just answering a question about Colleyville Heritage used to have an advanced academics booster club, but that it ended in 2019 due to lack of parent involvement. Sounds like we should need a parent to champion that.
Well, there we go. Let's see. Do you support universal testing for GT in kindergarten or first grade? Doing some research today, I believe I was informed that for Texas state plan, all kinder kids have to be considered for GT. Is that accurate? Somebody know? But yeah, I would think that
the state plan is complicated, but yes, it encourages that.
I'm sure.
That's what everybody laughs when we talk about the state plan. Yes.
So I would think that sooner a GT student can be identified, the better. I understand there are concerns with testing students at such a young age. However, this may be a way to create a baseline for students and possibly identify some students for further future testing. Understanding that's all reliant on resources again. But I mean, I think I was, back when I was in elementary school, it was just the gifted program. And I was identified as, and then put in the gifted program at that time. The program that I was a part of is nowhere near as robust as the program that I'm seeing here. But I wouldn't have been identified without universal testing. My mother was from Thailand and couldn't speak English very well. She had to work on her citizenship as well. And without universal testing, I wouldn't have been identified for that. So, any other typed ones?
Comments, giving feedback, but not a question.
Okay. So, let's see here. What was another one here? There's another one. How can our district improve on recognizing and nurturing multi-types of intelligence? So I think the best way to do that would be make sure we have the best, well-trained, motivated, and supported teachers in our district. Teachers that that know or understand students' needs and can help identify students that may need differentiated instruction. But we have to be able to support those teachers to get that training and keep those teachers around to be motivated to want to do that or be able to do that type of stuff. So let's see. What was that one? Was it another comment?
Sorry, now I'm typing.
No, it's fine.
There's one. GT and Aspire students need advanced books, sometimes many grades above, many levels above. Would you speak to the choice of books in our schools?
As far as books in schools, I understand the questions that are going around now. I think a lot of the ones that are going around now are about age appropriate, and age appropriate usually comes, identified with the type of material that's in the book, whether it's, has sex or if there's descriptive terminology in it for more grown up, maybe more grown up violence issues and things like that. But, obviously I would be for higher level books in the elementary schools if they didn't have some of the material that would be so provocative. Man, I don't know if that's the term I should be using, but but age appropriate books. I think there's all kinds of higher level books that can be used that don't all have the controversial subject matter in them. But yeah, I'm not somebody that needs to do away with books. I think it's up to between the parents, the teachers, and the administration. If we can figure out a way to not have access for kids that are not at that age level, so that they're not exposed to that type of stuff if their parents don't want them to be, for sure. I'm all for doing what we can do to get better books for anybody.
About 10 minutes, Dave.
Thank you.
So another question that came in says, what would you like to be the legacy of your term as a school board member?
That one's actually easy for me. I just want to make a positive impact. I don't want to, I want to make a positive impact on the district, on the board. I want to be a positive role model for my kids. I want to, I'm running to be a counter to all the noise that's going on. I don't have to tear down the district to make myself look like the savior of the district. I just want to, I have some experiences and trainings that I think would be a benefit to the board. I think I'm a reasonable person. I'm not, it's not one way or the other, not one way or the highway kind of thing for me. It's, I want to be able to come between people and find common ground and get some things done, make some solutions, not just yell noise. Let's see here. I had one here. The other one was, do you think there is anything good that can come from a student receiving a 2 on an AP exam? How familiar are you with the AP program? Well, I'll answer the latter one first. I am becoming more familiar because people are helping me with some information, and I'm trying to learn as much as I can about it. There's a lot of nuance to it, as I understand. I was told, let's see, I learned the difference between Aspire Academy and GT Kids. GT Kids having 95% in multiple disciplines on a test, and Aspire Academy is 99% or more in more than one discipline. Things like that. But I'm learning about the AP program, so I'll spend a good bit of the first, well, I'm being optimistic, I guess, the first term of being a board member, trying to learn how to be a board member and learn about the program. So I'll keep learning. Let's see, the receiving a 2 on an AP exam, and I think there's absolutely a benefit to that. It displays going through the rigor of the course and experiencing the process are very beneficial. I think although the 2s aren't accepted for credit at most colleges, it's also important to know that not all 4s or 5s are accepted at all colleges. Students can learn more from times when they're not successful than when they're always successful at something. A little bit of adversity helps motivate kids, people in general. So I feel that's what the advanced academic courses are for, is to challenge kids. And if we're always 100% successful every time we do something, when we're even being challenged, how much of a challenge is that? So, let's see. Should we have open enrollment in AP advanced courses? I think it makes sense to me, but I don't think we should lower the standards for the course to bring in more people, if that makes any sense. The rigor and the administration of the courses still have to stay at the high level, the challenging high level that they are intended to be. Again, we shouldn't be lowering standards or how the courses are instructed to bring more people in. But yeah, I would be all for open enrollment if as long as they're still fitting, being able to perform the work.
You did have one more in the chat. Not that you can choose, you've got a list in front of you, but if you want me to, I can tell you the chat one.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, it says, what are the barriers you see that might prevent great teachers from applying to work in GCISD? How do you propose the district will recruit the top GT certified?
The top barriers currently is the discourse in our community. And, we're coming out of COVID. I would like to forget it myself, but, I know it's still there, but we're coming out of COVID, which was a hard time on everybody in the community. And I don't want to say most of all, but in particular for teachers. Now with the discourse that we have in our communities, people attacking teachers and targeting teachers, teachers were teaching for low pay and additional work with no additional pay for years, since teaching was teaching. And, now the thing that's making teachers not want to do the job or not stay around in teaching is the feeling of a lack of trust within the community. So I think if we can do our best to regain that trust with the community, I think we can do that with open communication, better communication, understanding what we're saying when we say it, and understanding what we're hearing when we hear it. That's what good communication is about. So I think that will be a great first step in keeping the teachers we have. Now, recruiting teachers, nationally, we have a hard time filling positions. This year, they did a survey, national level, 1,200 school districts through the country. 2/3 of them reported having problems finding qualified teachers. That's just qualified teachers. That's not GT teachers. And in Texas, they did another survey. AFT did a survey, 3,800 teachers in Texas, and 66% of them have been considering leaving the profession. Now, and that goes back to the initial question, if we don't figure out how to communicate with one another and be more civil with one another and treat each other with more kindness and trust the teachers, we're not going to keep many of the ones that can go elsewhere. But I want to be an advocate for teachers. I want to help bridge that gap between the things that we are in the community that we're doing right and the things that we're doing wrong. Try and fix some of that stuff. Help bring some people together and maybe get down the road in the right direction.
3.5 minutes.
Ooh. Well, I've been rambling on trying to answer a question, but I'll ask one. So the best part of this whole process of me running for this office is to hear from people and hear from stakeholders. So I'd love to understand if budget wasn't an issue, what program would you like to have brought to GCISD for our GT students?
Ooh.
I don't know if anybody wants to take that one, but
While they're pondering their thoughts, maybe you can go. Oh, somebody said orchestra. That's a good answer.
Orchestra. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
If money was no object, we could get an orchestra at GCISD. Right. I'm all about it.
I've heard that one before too. A lot of
really, yeah.
They do orchestra outside of the district. Yeah, elementary musical instruments and foreign language. Other answer.
There you go. Good. I'll take those. Answers, and we'll see what we can get done. A lot of GT students.
Yeah, play stringed instruments.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well,
anybody else have anything else they want to post out there? I know we have a couple of in there. I'm not sure we got to most of them. I'm not sure how much time, Amy. Oh, there's somebody else writing. Yes, we used to have elementary Spanish. It was sad when it left. Yeah.
Yeah, we could. We should. That's actually pretty interesting concept. The Spanish classes in elementary school. We could.
We used to have that.
We could do some immersion type training there, right? We have what Timberline has a lot of Spanish speakers in elementary there. We could do some. Yeah. I don't know what the term is I'm trying to think of right now, but I think that would be a great idea.
Oh, somebody else. Oh, see you. Careful, Dave. Time's going to run out with all the. I'll send you all everybody's suggestions because now they're coming in. Hot and heavy. We're giving you some good suggestions, so I'll make sure you get those.
Right.
Looks like in there, one person said many of the hot button issues that are currently discussed in school board meetings and campaigns are unrelated to GT students or advanced academics. However, I'm concerned that high performing students may be deprioritized if the district and the board becomes overly focused on STAR test scores, debating social issues, etc. What can you do to ensure GT students remain a priority?
In 30 seconds.
I'm going to be a cheerleader.
Let me
I'm
get
gonna
back to y'all
advocate.
then.
I will be on your side. I don't think that there's anything that we, I think the great thing about this district, from what I've understood, is that people have mentioned STAR scores and star this, that, and star the other. But from what I see, that I don't think we focus solely on STAR. I don't think the district or the teachers or the campuses focus on those STAR scores as being the be all end all. I mean, it's one of those things we go through and do, but it's just another thing. By the time we get to the other end, there's my time. I'm just gonna stop.
Final
I was told I
comment
ramble
is
sometimes. I'll just stop.
Oh, we got more of them. People are even giving you more suggestions. So I will, as I mentioned at the beginning or the end of Louis' time, we will share with you anything that came in on the chat. So if there was anything that you missed or want to follow up with later, and absolutely give you the suggestions. Oh, see, another person said another parent of a GT orchestra student. So apparently orchestra must be based on this call.
Okay. All right. Survey says orchestra.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Dave. I appreciate your time.
Thank you all for having me. Sorry about the technical difficulties.
Okay. Okay. Well, I am just going to wrap us up here. I just want to thank everyone for coming this evening and joining us. A big thank you to the candidates who participated this evening, and mostly just for dedicating the time it takes to run for and fulfill the duties of a board of trustee. It's a lot of time. So we really appreciate that. Want to pass that along. So as a reminder, I just want you to take a moment to check out our website at gc-sage.org for more information on the candidates in our voter guide. We have a great voters guide out there. Dare I say it might be the best one in the district. Maybe not, I'm just biased. But you can also find information on our website about upcoming programs as well as membership information. And lastly, a reminder that early voting starts on April 25th, runs through May 3rd, and voting day itself is Saturday, May 7th. So the most important part of you being here tonight is that you vote and you get out and vote and take a friend from the district with you. So I guess that's it. And I really appreciate everybody's time tonight, and have a great evening. I think the rain has stopped at least over by my house. So hopefully we're all in the clear on the weather today. Thanks, y'all. Good night.